Hello and welcome to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. I'll be doing a playthrough here on normal difficulty first. So let's jump right into the main story. Take up the mantle of a rogue trader. The scion of an ancient dynasty of daring privateers that reign over the Trade Protectorate and explore the fringes of the known galaxy. Darkness looms over the bloodline of von Valancius as it faces multiple threats from within its own ranks and without, as countless enemies seek to destroy the most daring and brave agents of humanity. It's up to you to hold the reins of this shattered protectorate and forge a new path for the von Valancius dynasty, currently finding itself in a vortex of wars, intrigues, calamities, and heresy. The stakes are high, and rise even higher as you cross paths with terrifyingly powerful and ambitious adversaries in the darkness of the Kronus Expanse. Yeah, I think we'll be I don't think any of these difficulties are very recommended if you haven't played this before, so I'm just gonna stick to it. So there's 3 pre-made characters that you can choose from here. Bahardor, Darius, and Hekata. I think we're making a custom character. So I think I'm making a male character, to be honest. Any cool portraits? We'll pick this guy. Yeah, we'll pick this guy. Okay, so he's kinda pre-made. Could have a bit more beard though. And can have I don't remember what the symbol is. Something Space Marine. Anyway. Augmentations. It's got a bit too much hair for this kind of augmentation, I think. I don't know if this matters that much. Maybe we'll go bald instead, actually. Then do something on the head. Well, let's do that.
For the glory of the dynasty!
Engage the engines. I'll make it happen.
Let's take the pragmatic male. So, we can choose a home world. Death world. On death worlds, the plants, beasts, and sometimes even the environment itself takes aggressive and destructive forms, inimical to human life. Whilst exceptionally difficult to colonize, many death worlds possess valuable resources that require an outpost or other human presence upon the planet's surface to harvest. These harsh environments result in some of the hardiest and most resilient populations in the galaxies. Those tested and found wanting to die young. So we get Survival Instinct. Once per combat, when the wounds of a Death World character drop below 30%, they gain 20% of their maximum wounds as temporary wounds. Death World characters also gain a plus 20% bonus to dodge and armor while they have at least one temporary wound from any source. Okay. So we get 5 strength, 5 agility, 5 toughness, -5 intelligence, and -5 fellowship. Fellowship represents a character's ability to interact with other creatures, to deceive, charm, or befriend them. High fellowship will help a character find a way to approach a gathering of unsociable servants, or to effortlessly make deals with a treacherous merchant. Also affects the persuasion, coercion, and commerce skills. And the other ones are like basic things. Deathworld characters gain 15% critical hit against targets with a bleeding effect, or with 50% or less of their maximum wounds. Deathworld characters gain 10% to crit hit chances for axes, hammers, and mass weapons. That's actually kind of nice. So I was thinking about making a melee character. Every injury increases the Deathworld character's agility and willpower by 5. Every trauma counts as 3 injuries. I don't know what a trauma is. If a character who has received 3 or more injuries does not heal them in time with a medkit, the injuries will become traumas. The number of injuries that cause a trauma may vary depending on the difficulty of the game you choose. Traumas reduce a character's resolve and also inflict an additional negative effect, which depends on the specifics of a particular trauma. Traumas can only be removed and fully healed in the Rogue Trader's private quarters on the Void ship. Okay, so it's like semi-permanent stat debuffs. Deathworld characters take toughness, less damage from flame, toxic damage, and that's a good resistance. Once per combat, when a Deathworld character is suffering from the stunned, blinded, or immobilized condition, this condition is ignored and they instead gain 20%. Oh, bro. There's no way we're not playing this. Let's check out the others. Voidborn are human birthed in the belly of a void vessel or aboard an ancient orbital satellite. Those who have lived their lives on void ships become inured to some extent due to their reality-altering process of warp travel and to living low or zero-gravity environments. In many cases, their features are drawn and their skin pallid. They may even have minor deformities or a strangeness to their speech, gait, or general appearance that sets them apart from others. You get the Fortune. A Voidborn character can reroll any failed attack, dodge, parry, characteristics, skill test with a 20% chance of success. This chance cannot be greater than the base success chance of the roll. Additionally, any enemy dodge parry against a Voidborn character has 20% chance to fail after a successful roll. Yeah, and then plus willpower, plus intelligence. So willpower here is withstanding the horrors of the warp. And then intelligence is lore. Okay. And then we have some talents here. Bloody Mess. Every time a Voidborn character scores a critical hit, there's a 10% chance to double the damage. That is very strong. Contagious Luck. Using a non-damaging ability on an ally grants that ally the ability to reroll any failed attack, dodge, parry, characteristic, or skill test with a 20% chance of success for 1 round. This chance cannot be greater than the base success chance of the roll. Using a non-damaging ability on an enemy grants them 20% chance to fail a successful dodge or parry test against any character for 1 round. Just a flesh wound. The Voidborn character has a 20% chance to survive after suffering lethal damage, surviving with 1 wound. Jinx. While a Voidborn character has more than 50% wounds, all chances of all creatures, including enemies, in a 3-cell radius are increased by 10%. While a Voidborn character has less than 50% wounds, all chances of all creatures, including enemies, in a 3-cell radius are decreased by 10%. Anytime an ability or talent uses the Fellowship bonus, a Voidborn character can instead use the Intelligence bonus if it's higher. Additionally, Voidborn characters can always upgrade Intelligence even if their archetype does not allow it. Okay. Then we do have the Hive World. A hive world's population is so dense that the great swaths of the surface of the world are frequently covered in gargantuan cities, bejeweled with towering spires that pierce the atmosphere. Hive worlds are vital to the welfare of the Imperium and are the beating heart of its economy and war machine. They produce munitions for the Emperor's armies in vast manufactories, mine valuable minerals, and refine fuel for the Imperial Navy. Innumerable regiments of the Astra Militarum are raised from their massive populations as well. Strength in numbers. Hive World characters gain +1 plus Fellowship bonus divided by 2 resolve if there are 3 or more creatures, allies, or enemies in a 3-cell radius. Yet they suffer a -2 penalty to resolve with no creatures around. Okay. And then plus Fellowship, plus Agility, and then minus Willpower. Fellowship was the persuasion thing, yeah. So Camaraderie. Hive World characters can pass Willpower resistance tests using their Fellowship value instead if the character's Fellowship is higher. Okay. Outnumber. If a Hive World character has melee superiority against the enemy, the effect is increased by 10. If an enemy has melee superiority against the Hive World character, the effect is decreased by 10. Melee superiority. In melee combat, any target surrounded by more allies than enemies receive a 10% weapon skill bonus for each additional ally. Larger creatures need to be surrounded by more than 2 enemies to provide this advantage to the attackers. Weapon personalization. All ranged weapons dealing physical damage has +1 damage, +5 armor pen, +1 rate of fire, and -5 to recoil. Okay, that's pretty strong as well. If a Hive World character starts their turn adjacent to an ally character, that Hive World character gains 2 MP. What's an MP? Movement point. Okay. If a Hive World character ends their turn adjacent to allies, they gain 2 movement points. Fresh start. Hive World characters gain a 50% bonus to dodge against the first attack of opportunity each round. Okay, so Forge World. Forge worlds are the domain of the Adeptus Mechanicus, entire planets ceded to the demands of vast macro industries. Each is a manufacturing super complex of unimaginable capacity and power. Over the millennia, different Forge worlds have become especially renowned for their philosophies or ways of war. These are often colored by the technologies they specialize in manufacturing. The bulk of a Forge world's population is utilized as labor force, while the fortunate few may be inducted in the ranks of the Adeptus Mechanicus itself. So int, toughness, fellowship, pinnacle of weaponry. The first attack in combat with any plasma, melta, or power weapon deals additional damage equal to int bonus. For the remainder of combat, the bonus is decreased to int, half of the int bonus. Fires of the Forge. Forge World characters gain toughness bonus deflection against the burning effect of flame weapons. Steel of the Forge. While wearing heavy armor, Forge World characters gain 1 movement point, 1 deflection, and cannot fall prone. That's actually strong as well. Persistence of the Forge. Forge World characters gain a stacking 10% bonus to hit chance and dodge reduction against any target they hit with a single target attack. Successful critical hits from single target attacks increase the hit chance to dodge. Successful critical hits from a single target attacks increase the hit chance and dodge reduction by 20%. Calculated relations. Forge World characters can use persuasion, coercion, and commerce based on intelligence instead of fellowship. Then we have the Imperial World. An Imperial World is one of a million planets united by the belief in the immortal God Emperor, hailing from hyper-technological societies to grimy feudal populations. The inhabitants of countless worlds offer fealty and devotion to the master of humanity and the imperial creed espoused by his servants. The designation Imperial World encompasses a vast array of wholly dissimilar worlds that are nevertheless part of the Imperium. Humanity's finest. Imperial World characters can select any characteristic except for weapon skill or ballistic skill and add a 10% bonus. So it's basically, instead of any of these stats, you can get this. So you don't get any bonus or penalty stats, you just get an additional 10 to put in something, I guess. Ready to serve. When an Imperial World character is affected by an ally's non-damaging ability, or affects an ally with such an ability, their resolve is increased by a fellowship bonus, half of a fellowship bonus, for 1 round. Better to die for the Emperor. While under 40% wounds, Imperial World characters gain a 10% bonus to all characteristics and +2 to resolve. Doing my part. If no other character in the current party has the same archetype as this character, the first use of any abilities from this archetype costs 1 AP less. No Heresy. Imperial World characters gain 10% crit hit chance and 10% armor against Xenos or demonic creatures. Their allies gain half the bonus of No Heresy. However, Imperial World characters' lore for Xenos and Warp are always 0. Yes, because they know nothing about heresy. Okay. Stronger together. All allies, excluding Xenos in the current party, gain 5 to the same characteristic as was chosen for humanity's finest. Okay. And then the last one is the Fortress World. The Fortress World are planets where entire populace is immersed in warfare. They constantly train for the day that they may be called upon to defend the Imperium. A charge they solemnly uphold. Fortress worlds are established as bulwarks against the enemy. Every citizen is a soldier, trained to fight from the moment they can handle a weapon. They get never stop shooting. Each time a Fortress World character kills an enemy, they gain 10 stacks of never stop shooting. At the start of their turn, there is a stacks percentage chance that the first attack this round will cost 0 AP and will not count toward the attack limit per round. This effect triggers all the stacks are lost. Then you gain Perception and Willpower. Combat Addict. Fortress World characters gain 7 to Ballistic Skill, Perception, and Willpower while in combat. Yet while out of combat, their Intelligence, Fellowship, Perception, and Willpower are decreased by 7. Hail of Steel. Each round, Fortress World characters gain a stacking 1% bonus to dodge against ranged attacks for each shot they made during this round. Also, the burst attack grants an additional 10 stack of never stop shooting. Familiar Kickback. At the end of their turn, Fortress World characters gain stack of never stop shooting equal to half the minimal damage of the most damaging ranged weapon they used. Spare Magazine. Fortress World characters first reloading combat costs 0 AP. Reloading a weapon grants an additional 10 stacks of Never Stop Shooting. Never Stop Believing. When all stacks of Never Stop Shooting should be lost, they become willpower divided by 2 number of stacks instead. Additionally, a Fortress World character may upgrade their willpower characteristic even if their current archetype does not. Okay. We're definitely going with Death World. If we're going melee, we're getting toughness and strength and like survival instinct. It seems really strong. Okay, so then we have an origin. Okay, so we have Astra Militarum Commander. The Astra Militarum, commonly known as the Imperial Guard, is the primary fighting force of the Imperium, and the first line of defense from the myriad threats that endanger the existence of humanity in the 41st millennium. You have served as one of the commanders of an Astra Militarum regiment, commanding thousands and winning battles in the name of God Emperor. We would gain regimental tactics. The Astra Militarum Commander and all their allies deal an additional plus 20 plus 2 times perception bonus % damage to enemies that are adjacent to the commander or their allies until the end of the commander's next turn. All of the commander's allies also take no damage from other allies' attacks. Can only be used once per combat. Okay, and then we get ballistic skill, perception, athletics, medicare. And then we can get an additional perception and additional medicare. Kind of like this outfit as well. Superior fire. No, I can't read. Suppression fire. While the Astra Militarum Commander is under the regimental tactics effect, their single target melee ranged attacks and area attacks gain 20% to dodge reduction, parry reduction, and cover penetration against enemies adjacent to the commander or their allies. Field of Fire. While the Astra Militarum Commander is under regimental tactics effect, all their allies gain 5% to rate of fire for every attack they've made since the start of this effect. Timely Rescue. While the Astra Militarum Commander is under the tactics effect, killing an enemy adjacent to an ally grants the ally additional 10 momentum. What's momentum? Okay. Unflinching Heroism. Every time the Astra Militarum Commander ally uses a heroic act, the commander gains 5+ to all their characteristics until the end of combat. Shoulder to Shoulder. While the Astra Militarum Commander is adjacent to any ally, the commander deals an additional 10 plus perception bonus % damage to all enemies adjacent to the commander's allies. Okay. Commissar. Commissars of the Officio Prefectus are ruthless officers charged with maintaining the morale, discipline, and fighting spirit of the Astra Militarum Regiment. He used to be one of these faithful servants of the God Emperor, a living symbol of the Imperium. A living symbol of Imperium authority, regarded with a mix of fear and awe by their subordinates. At all costs, the commander's next single shot or single target melee attack applies the following effects. Enemy target. The target becomes marked. The ally who kills the marked enemy gains an additional turn after the current one with 2 AP and 4 MP. Allied target. All allies gain additional 1 AP and 3 MP for the next round. Only used 1 per combat. And weapon skill is close combat. Okay. Then we have Crime Lord. The Imperium survives and prospers in no small part due to the narrowness of its vision, but a rebellious mind and will such as yours could not be so easily constrained. The dark paths of smugglers and renegades that wind behind the facade of the Imperium society offer a dangerous refuge for those unwilling to bow to the law. You used to be one of these dangerous yet resourceful individuals. So that's weapon skill, perception, awareness, and logic, and more perception and awareness later. So this is like a melee party persuasion kind of person, and this is more melee with awareness and perception. And then we have the mini storeroom priest. The Ecclesiarchy, I don't know what that is. Known formally as the Adeptus Ministerium, is a vast institution that oversees the galaxy-spanning religion of the Imperium. The Ecclesiarchy's complex hierarchies of cardinals, missionaries, preachers, and zealous laity ensure that the prescribed prayers and invocations are all made, all in the while instructing the masses to guard against heresy and deviancy. You used to be one of these fiery and charismatic individuals concerned with keeping a close watch on your congregation. Grants momentum equal to 2 times devotees' willpower bonus. This ability also grants additional willpower bonus momentum for each enemy that is in either a 5-cell radius around the priest or was hit by the priest this turn. So this is toughness willpower with some lore and Medicare. Then we have Navy Officer. The Imperial Navy is responsible for the fleets of void ships that assert the dominance of the Imperium amid the stars and fulfill other duties connected to the void and warp travel. You used to be a Navy officer and a commander of a void ship, hardened in the numerous battle and famous for resounding victories. And then we get Brace for Impact. For 1 round, the Navy officer and their allies in a 3-cell radius gain 2 deflection for each archetype taken by the Navy officer. They also cannot be forcefully moved or over-penetrated. That's a word. Over-penetrated. Agility, Fellowship, Commerce, Demolition. Noble. The high nobility of the Imperium are enormously privileged and powerful elite, a breed apart from the common masses they rule. You grew into adulthood upon a pedestal of affluence and grandeur that towered high above the common masses. You expected their obedience and lived up to the fruits of their toil surrendered to your family in solemn fealty. You serve me. The noble assigns 1 ally who will become their servant until the end of combat. At any time the noble's abilities affect the servant gains 5 to all characteristics until the start of the noble's next turn. Anytime the servant attacks a target that the noble dealt 10 damage to last turn, the servant gain 10 plus the noble's fellowship bonus % to critical hit chance against that target. Okay, so intelligence, fellowship, coercion, persuasion. Then we have Sanctioned Psyker. Psykers are feared and distrusted, but are nonetheless valuable assets to the Imperium. The role of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica is to recruit, identify, and classify those who possess psychic abilities. The most powerful who somehow survive the rigorous sanctioning rituals are selected to serve on the battlefield. The mind of a sanctioned psyker is steeled against the manifold of dangers risked by wielders of warp powers. You are one of those found worthy to serve humanity and have miraculously survived the perils of the warp. Note, damaging psyker powers counted as weapon attacks, counting towards the normal attack limit per round and gaining all the benefits of abilities and talent, increasing damage of attacks. For example, a soldier using run and gun ability will be able to use a damaging psyker powers twice per turn, and an operative's analyze enemy ability affects the damage of damaging psyker powers. Okay, so we got some psi rating, a sanctioned psyker, toughness, willpower, lore warp, and so on. I will be going with the Commissar. And then we have a Triumph. You played a key role in exposing a conspiracy among your superior officers in the Astra Militarum. 5 logic. Or illustrious glory. Your name has become synonym for loyalty and valor, and your visage has adorned many Imperial Guard propaganda posters. Should we get coercion? Feat of greatness. You directed a heroic attack of an Imperial Guard regiment that breached the gates of a fortress held by heretics. I'm wondering if we go like Crime Lord. It's slightly different. Oh, okay, so the Psyker gets some different abilities instead. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna go with Commissar. Gonna go with... Yeah, we're gonna go with this Illustrious Glory for coercion. Darkest Hour. Grim Portents. The souls of all who perished in a brutal offensive still haunt your nightmares and torture your soul. Which is 5 minus awareness. Brand of Shame. Falsely accused of cowardice, you were forced to suffer through a humiliating tribunal. Minus 5 persuasion. Shadow of Torment. You were attacked by a group of renegade guardsmen during a mutiny and were beaten half to death. I think we go with this one. I don't want less awareness and I don't want less persuasion. And then we get the archetype. I'm guessing this is the class. So warriors are combatants boasting exceptional melee prowess, capable of dealing high damage in close quarter combat and withstanding heavy amounts of damage. They also excel at drawing enemies' attention from less defended allies. Core focus, melee movement and dodge, armor and parry, taunt, soaking damage. Okay. Officers. Officers use their willpower and fellowship to improve the combat capabilities of their allies, turning them into even greater threats on the battlefield. Core focus, extra turns, single target buffs, rescuing allies, momentum. Operative. An operative uses intelligence and perception to find and exploit weaknesses in an enemy defenses. None can withstand an attack from an operative. Core focus, precise single attack, defense, penetration, area debuffs, consistent firing position. And then soldier. A soldier is master of all ranged weapon, quickly able to assume an advantageous position from where they stand, ready to rain fire on the enemy. While well trained in a highly diverse range of arms, a soldier is particularly proficient at blasting their targets with burst fire and area weapons. Core focus, movement and ranged attack, cover, dodge, burst fire, area attacks. I'm definitely going with warrior here. So this can develop into Assassin, Vanguard, and Arc Militant, and Exemplar. I have no idea what those are, but we're gonna go with melee. That sounds like a good time. We're definitely going strength, toughness. And I think we go weapon skill. So very combat focused character. Weapon skill is close combat. Strength is physically strong character. It affects the damage we do with melee weapons. Affects athletic skill. Okay, and then toughness is shrug off injuries, resistances in general. Okay, we got a frigate here. Mercy of the Stars. That sounds like us. Jabes. Let's go with Jabes. Cool. That's the character creation, so let's finally get into the game.
An excellent place for contemplation. One has the best view of the cathedral from here. Mesmerizing, wouldn't you say? An impeccable manifestation of the God Emperor's sublimity.
Okay, choice in dialogues. You're in a dialogue. Here you can learn more about current events, influence the characters you're speaking to, even alter the course of the game's narrative. Your character's personal story depends on the dialogue choices you make. Available dialogue options are displayed on the right. Select the reply by left mouse button or pressing the corresponding digit on your keyboard. Okay, fine. The Emperor of Mankind. The guide, the ruler, and the highest power to which humanity offers their prayers, their aid and deliverance. Most would be driven mad with despair if they knew the truth.
That is the purpose of all temples to the God Emperor, to inspire awe and reverence. For it is the duty of his servants to persevere in their tireless service until they are presented with the chance to give their very life for the master of humanity.
Sure.
Allow me to introduce myself. Conrad Voigtveer, Master of Whispers, in the employ of Her Ladyship Rogue Trader Theodora von Valencius. At your service. I haven't had the pleasure of speaking with you in person before.
Yeah, okay, so hyperlinks, you can hover over highlighted words to learn more about them. The tooltip that appears can help you better understand the world of the game or its mechanics. Words are highlighted when they first appear in a text. Scroll up in the dialog box to see the desired highlighted term again. Okay. Jabes.
My regards, Master. Or should I say, von Valencius, scion of a blessed rogue trader house in the service of the Imperium. Perhaps this kinship came as a shock to you. Understandably so, given that all evidence of the connection was lost in the generations separating you and Lord Captain Theodora. It required no small effort on the part of Her Ladyship's servants to discover and verify this blood tie, which has now made you one of the heirs of this dynasty.
You have a curious title, Master of Whispers. What are your responsibilities?
To put it plainly, I am the head of the network of spies and informers who serve the interests of House von Valencius. I uncover weak links both among Lady Theodora's retinue and in the ranks of her rivals. I eliminate our vulnerabilities and exploit those of others.
You say I'm one of the rogue trader's heirs, so is there another candidate?
There is. And you will meet him soon enough.
I assume you had some goal in mind when you decided to seek me out. Let us address it.
But of course, I have come to invite you to a meeting with Lady Theodora. I imagine you have many questions for your patroness, and I'm sure she has just as many questions for you. It is regrettable that you haven't yet had an opportunity to speak. It has been an arduous voyage thus far. The Lord's Captain and Master Edelthrad von Valencius are conversing on the observation platform. Let us join them there.
Sure. Move your character by clicking left mouse button on a spot on the screen. A symbol will appear, blah blah blah. Okay, so we can move the camera around here. Bunch of people down there. We have some abilities here. We can go into the character panel. Not sure what this is. We have the features, looks like abilities and talents. And that turned into this. We have reputation with a couple of different factions and a biography. Then we can see our stats as well. Oh, we have 65% dodge. Okay. We do have an inventory as well. We have a stub revolver with 15% armor pen. Seven to 11 damage. Well, then we have a journal with rumors here as well. We have a map. And okay, we have a lot of information. Then we have cargo manager, so we have some loot in the ship, I guess.
I always have a backup plan.
Okay. Interactable objects. Some objects in the game can be interacted with in a special way. They are marked with specific icons. Some icons allow you to study objects, others will transfer character to neighboring locations or launch a small event. These icons become visible when your character is standing close enough to the interactive object. Click left mouse button on the icon to perform the associated action. Some interactive objects such as doors or chests are not always marked with icons, but the cursor changes when you hover over them. Hover your cursor over the object. If the cursor changes, the object is interactable. Hold tab to highlight objects your character can interact with.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
Massive conference table, obviously crafted from real wood, a resource of incredible value aboard a
I
void
always
ship.
keep my options open.
The sacred mechanism has been interfered with without due reverence. The duration of the data processing cycle has tripled. Incomprehensible information is displayed on a large screen above the cogitators. You can make out references to unfamiliar systems and worlds among the numbers and logisticar symbols.
Keep your wits about you.
candlelit altar with a copy of the 2348th volume of the Lex Imperialis, the Codex of the Sacred Laws of the Imperium.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
One of the Fon Valencia's trophy rooms. Perhaps you would like to take a look around after your audience with the Lord Captain.
Maybe.
What's happening? Run! The servitors have gone berserk!
I mean, you could move backwards, right? You didn't have to tank that. You've been ambushed, the battle begins. To survive the grim darkness of the far future, you will have to face enemies of all kinds and fight for your life. These hints and tutorials will familiarize with the combat system of Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. Click the button at the top of the screen to start the battle. Start the battle. Oof. This guy is not nice. Movement in combat. All battles in the game are turn-based and take place on a grid. On the turn, a character can move, attack, or use their abilities. Select the cell within the highlighted area and double-click to move the character there. So we have movement points. Movement points, MP, determine how far a character can move on their turn. 1 MP corresponds to 1 cell on the battlefield. Moving diagonally is more costly. Every second diagonal cell uses 2 MP. At the beginning of each turn, movement points are restored to their maximum value. Note that once a character starts moving, this action can no longer be cancelled. Yeah, why do I want to move? Action points. To make attacks and use abilities in combat, a character must spend action points or AP. Their total is displayed on the panel at the bottom of the screen. Every attack or ability has a certain AP cost associated with it. The number of squares next to the icon attack or action and other abilities indicate their AP cost. At the start of each character's turn, their AP are restored to their maximum value. To attack, first click on single shot icon on the weapon panel at the bottom of the screen. Hover the cursor over an enemy. A tooltip will appear showing you the chances of hitting that enemy and the possible damage you can deal on a successful hit. Click on the enemy to fire. The amount of damage your characters deal depends on the parameters of the weapon they're using. The effectiveness of the shot depends on the distance between the character and the enemy. When you target an enemy with a single shot, you'll see 2 areas denoting the weapon's effective and maximum firing range. Okay. Certain abilities in the game are considered attack actions and can only be used once per turn, unless affected by specific talents or other abilities a character might have. If a character performs an attack action, they will not be able to attack again and will lose their remaining movement points until the start of their next turn. Okay. Is this always a hit?
On it.
Okay. Okay, and then we have 5 shots. When you're ready to end your turn, press space or click the end button So, okay, that's fine. I don't think we have limited ammo in this game. I just think you need to reload, maybe? But they are definitely missing. I don't know why. Maybe my, Right, we have the log as well. That's
It's
fine.
as good as another enemy down.
That's fine.
What suspiciously poor timing for such an accident. Servitors malfunction on the officer's deck at exactly the same moment when the rogue trader and her heirs are gathered here. I have blocked all passages between the upper and lower sectors of the residential decks. If this is a deliberate attack, it should stop the culprits from advancing their plan.
Sure.
I'm afraid I must remain here. For Lady Theodora's safety, I have to oversee the execution of these orders personally. I hope you will have no difficulty reaching the observation platform on your own. It is just
I'm
at the
sure
end
I'll
of
be
this
fine.
corridor.
So we can open the map. Oh, we can also move the camera, apparently. That's fine. Tarantula sentry gun constructed with the blessing of the Adeptus Mechanicus using a standard template construct in the manufacturing of Kiavagama. The wires in the servitor's head are still smoldering. It would seem the cause of this malfunction was the short circuiting of the motive force. Lehman Russ battle tank, reclaimed and restored by the grace of the God Emperor. The first to breach the capital walls during the pacification of Ortes Chiton. This exhibit is unfinished. Another symbol on the House of Angus of Valor was displayed here at some point in the future.
Let us not dawdle.
Gray-green crystal with white veins. A low hum can be heard coming from the artifact. Strange object that resembles sea coral. The porous surface is pitted against a sign. The porous surface is pitted, a sign that it's been underwater. The stone on the pedestal is no doubt solid, but the surface shimmers and changes hue, as if someone has captured a piece of turbulent sea within a rock.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
A massive golden amalgam interspersed with sparkling particles.
Is there money to be made?
A black shard resembling obsidian. If you look closely, you can discern a strange, barely perceptible glow inside the artifact. A violet alloy, which upon closer examination turns out to be handcrafted object. Symbols carved with the primitive tools are visible on the surface.
Keep your wits about you.
Okay, so we can't go in there. This is a window. These windows look into the next room, not outside the void ship. You cannot make out anything throughout the cloudy glass, only the weak lights flickering through from that side. Okay.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
Assuming F5 is quick save, so let's go in here then.
Let us not dawdle.
Okay.
I always have a backup plan.
It's really
Always keep your
beautifully
eye on the
crafted,
prize.
to be honest. Looks really nice.
Is there money to be made?
That is simply irrational, Lady Theodora, says the man dressed in peculiar garb, his voice tight with tension. His face, half of which is covered by sin skin, is twisted in a grimace of displeasure and disbelief. Assimilation into the trade structure would be political and economical suicide, practically an admission of heresy. Theodora says, then suggest an alternative that will satisfy me. I have described the situation, no worse than my Seneschal could have done. Make a decision. What will you do with Ion 6th? Ethelthrad. And then, I think we're gonna go with, I'm here to speak with the Lord Captain. What is this? Ethelthrad turns to you and regards you with indignation. Is this someone from your retinue, Theodora? Do you permit your people to interrupt your conversations in such fashion? I give that permission to those with something of substance to say. Let us see if it was worth it. Theodora tilts her head, her lips stretch into a cold smile. This is Jabs, the second candidate for the title of my successor. The rogue trader regards you with a look that is imperious, predatory, and oppressive. Step forward. Okay, passive skill tests. Your character's skills reflect their knowledge and capabilities. Some dialogues automatically initiate passive skill tests. Such a test succeeds, the new information will be revealed or a hidden dialogue option will unlock. If your character is traveling with allies, the party member with the highest score in the applicable skill is selected for each given passive skill test. Okay. Consider this hypothetical situation. Ion 6, a new world on the fringes of the Kronus Expanse. High seismic activity, regular magma eruptions, metamorphic rock deposits, prospects for large-scale mining. The world is populated by natives who worship some heretical underworld spirits that protect those who offer them sacrifices. Flights of fancy, you might say, but attempts to install ore extractors have failed for a second time. The mining crews sent out to the planet's surface simply vanished overnight. My question to you is, what would you do with this poisoned treasure? So we have a few options here, let's see. So these two are something that we got because we have Lore Warp and Xeno. And then the others are like the normal ones. The Commissar one. Let's go with the alien one. Reasonable and prudent, however chasing after ethereal creatures may prove a rather long and fruitless endeavor. Yeah, sure. Ethelthrad scoffed. Apart from Xenos, an untrodden planet might be teeming with myriad horrors that are far more dangerous and difficult to eradicate. I suspect that you, Jabs, are simply unaware of their existence. Oh... We're gonna go with number one. I gave you a straight answer to a simple question, which as I understand was still more than you could do, Ethelthrad. The color drains from Ethelthrad's face, which distorts his features further. Insolent, Ignorant upstart, how dare you? Edelthrad. Theodora's tone renders him silent. I believe I gave you an assignment on this ship. Explain to me, then, why my senior congregator is still dawdling about the officer's deck, instead of proceeding to the middle decks to commence the inspection of the compartments in his purview. I beg your forgiveness, Lady Theodora. Your presence has such a profound effect on me that I, well, forgot the time. Edelthad bows ceremoniously and takes his leave without sparing you another look. Poor guy. Theodora's gaze follows him as he leaves, then she turns to you. So, Jabs, why are you here? I don't know just yet. I hope you will clarify that. Theodora smiles wryly. Clarity. A luxury that few of us can afford. There's a reason why I did not explain all the details of the question I posed to you earlier. Beyond the borders of the Imperium, seldom is one granted an opportunity to enjoy information in its abundance. This, however, is one such opportunity. My name is Theodora van Valancius Massimo af Garrus. I am a rogue trader in the service of the God Emperor of humanity, and my rights and freedoms are vindicated by a most sacred relic, the warrant of trade, kept aboard this very vessel. Mine is the honor to venture into the darkness beyond the Imperium and carry humanity's light where the powers wicked and heretical reign, and brought death and ruin to us all. Okay, so the Warrant of Trade is the sacred relic document that affirms the preeminent rights of a rogue trader throughout the galaxy. It is my decision alone to determine the fate of whatever I find past the bounds of the explored world. Every world I discover, along with all there is to find thereon, resources, people, riches, and mysteries, is mine by right. I command millions of lives, rule over numerous planets, and possess fortunes that no planetary governor or commander could dream of amassing. And you, Jabs, are one of those, with the von Valancius blood in their veins, and rightful claim to this inheritance when the hour comes. One of. Does that mean there are other heirs? Naturally. Some have yet to arrive on board, but you have had the pleasure of meeting one of them. Edelthrad may be somewhat disconcerted by the scale of the responsibilities that may potentially fall upon his shoulders. However, I have a good feeling about him as a candidate. Okay. Blood right alone is not enough to earn the high honor of becoming a bearer of a warrant of trade. Nonetheless, your abilities and talents may yet to provide useful. If not for the role of Lord Captain, then for that of their closest ally. Theodora sighs and looks away pensively for a brief moment. Alas, even those responsibilities can at times be too challenging for those who share your blood. Conrad Voigitvir served me for many years before he made his mistake. You're satisfied with Edelthrad. Why? Then what sense is there in having this conversation? Why are you wasting your time on me? Theodora shakes her head. Impatience. I'm rather fond of impatient people. They're not as quick to resign themselves to circumstance and more eager to show initiative. Even if I do choose Edelthrad as my successor, I will still require loyal advisors. The skills and knowledge you acquired in your former life may prove invaluable here in the Kronus Expanse. Once you were a commissar of the Imperial Guard, a political officer who was not afraid to face his own death or send his underlings to theirs. Resolve, faith, implacability. All of it gives one a unique perspective when presented with a situation where less steadfast individuals could falter. Trust me, your future holds plenty of situations where your commitment to your duty or your house's interests will be one of your strengths. Moreover, Theodora chuckles slightly. Even changing your family name will not rid you of the fame you previously garnered. I hope it will also help you bring glory upon the von Valancius dynasty to which you now belong. Okay, fine. I'm ready to take on this sacred purpose. Oh yes, you would be, wouldn't you? The question is, am I ready to choose you over the rest? You came abroad hours before the warp jump and have not yet distinguished yourself in any way. As things currently stand, I have doubts that you're suitable for the role of rogue trader. Okay, fine. Thank you for clarifying. May I ask my questions now? The vox affixed to Theodora's attire suddenly comes to life, but all you can hear is unintelligible noise. Theodora winches, shuts off the transmission, and gives you an impervious nod. I have some time before the navigator gives the signal to initiate the void ship's transition out of the warp, and my presence is required on the bridge. An incident took place on the officer's deck. Some servitors went berserk and attacked the crew. Is that so? Perhaps the technomats were careless during maintenance, or it could be the warp playing tricks on us in spite of the Geller field. Or perhaps there's something to all the stories about the ship being possessed after all. Theodora laughs nonchalantly. Abelard, the grey-haired officer, gives the road trader a look of cautious disapproval. Lady Theodora, for the God Emperor's sake, surely you do not intend to start repeating the idle rumors spread about by uneducated riffraff. Enough, Abelard. Such heresy amuses me. Idra eagerly retells me everything she learns from the whispers of her unseen advisors. She turns to you. This ship is thousands of years old. It has enough hidden nooks, malfunctioning cogitators, and unused compartments to make ignorant folk speak of specters dwelling inside the bulkheads and plotting against those who yet live. Okay, so cogitator is a type of digital computer in the Imperium of Man. Let's see, what are my current responsibilities? Observe, learn, absorb. It will take time for you to find your bearings aboard this vessel and in your new position. Eventually I will find a post that suits you as I did Elothard. Until that time comes, consider yourself my aide. Okay, I have no more questions. In that case, I shall head to. Theodora's vox awakens once more. This time you pick up shouting. The Lord Captain freezes, listens to the vox cast, then nods and draws her weapon. Disturbances reported on the adjacent decks. Seneschal, if the need arises, protect the new blood. She glances at you. Is it possible that the chance to prove your worth may present itself sooner than you may have anticipated? Okay, random
You will beg for mercy, but I
people.
will grant none.
All combatants act in turns and their order is determined by an initiative roll. The order of turns is displayed on the left side of the screen from bottom to top. The character at the very bottom goes first, and the one above, and so on. Okay, fine. We have been ambushed again.
target. Pain and duty go hand in hand.
Pain and duty does go hand in hand.
I'll brush this off.
Okay, use cover to avoid enemy attacks. Cover that a character can hide behind are marked with a shield or a shield with a skull. When standing close to them, the character will automatically take up an advantageous position. In this case, the chance that the enemy attack will hit the cover and not the character behind them increases. The character will not receive a bonus if attacked from the side, not protected by their current cover.
Your end was inevitable.
Oh. Okay. Critical hit. Your character has just landed a critical hit that deals increased damage equal to the character's critical damage stat. Character's critical damage is 150% of their normal damage by default. However, certain talents, effects, and abilities can increase it. Each weapon has its own critical damage stats, which is added to the character's total stat value during an attack. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. Oh yeah, I can right click these and find out what they're doing. There's a, yeah, how much health they have as well. Or
Brace yourself, Avalon. I took care of this one.
not sure I can see the health actually. Positive effect. Your character has received a temporary positive effect from an ally. Such effect enhances your character's capabilities in combat in some way. To learn more about the effect you have gained, however, hover your cursor over the effects icon next to the character's portrait. Is it this one? Okay. Yeah. 50 ballistic skill. All forms of ranged weapons. Oh wow, you have to move for that. Well, why would I move? I can just do this, right? Or I can just miss as well. That is definitely one of the options, right?
I'll make it happen.
At least you hit that. Theodora waves her hand in a commanding gesture. Mort, take a team with you and clear a path to the transport line. Do not let a single Horson survive. The rogue trader turns her eyes to you. Didn't bat an eye when that scum burst onto the deck, hmm? Not bad. I've seen many an officer who panicked at the sight of combat on the upper decks. The false sense of security offered by their position makes them that much more vulnerable to the harsh realities of warp travel. She looks at the vox in her hand. All you can hear is lifeless static. What's happening? From what we've seen in Jabs, I can speculate that we're dealing with some variety of madness induced by warp travel. The Sensual is astonishingly calm for someone who just survived a sudden attack. Such episodes are not uncommon among Voidsmen who found themselves outside the boundaries of real space, though such episodes seldom spill onto other decks. Theodora clicks her Vox a few times. The casters are not working, or have been sabotaged. Either the warp is toying with us, or someone went to great lengths to cut the ship's communications. I'll need a direct channel to the Engine Seer Prime. The Engine Seer is a tech priest whose specialization is the maintenance and repair of sacred machines. Before I can get a sense of what we're set up against. Whatever it may be, keep your weapon at the ready. I imagine there will be some time before we no longer need them. How could there be armed people in the ranks of the crew who would dare to attack the Lord Captain? The Sensual gives you a gloomy look. Trust me, Jabs, this is hardly surprising for a crew of thousands. The lower decks are a fertile environment for discontent and heresy, no matter how one tries to incinerate any seed before it can take root. All that it takes is a hint of warp influence to cloud the minds of normally obedient cattle. Sporadic riots on the lower decks never reached these compartments. Theodora's anger causes the Sensual to shrink slightly. No, the tumults of the rabble are always contained within their own territory. This is too well organized. It's spreading too rapidly. The incident with the rampaging servitors may be connected to what's transpiring now. Possibly. Quite likely. Theodora winches and flicks the switch on her Vox a few times. We'll investigate at a later time. Right now we need to isolate the affected compartments and try to assess the situation. What are your orders? She breaks eye contact with you. Mort has gone on ahead to clear a path for us. You want to make yourself useful, go after him and see if the Arch Militant requires aid, and be quick about it. Okay. Cool. Can we see this on the map? Really would like this to be tracked on the map, but okay. Anyway, I think this is gonna be the end of this episode, so thanks for watching and have a really nice day.